masturbating yet, apparently.
We are just going live right now, Rory, apparently, just so you know.
Did that go on the live?
It probably didn't, but it might have.
That's fine if it did. I don't care.
But by the way, Rory, every time I check into a hotel now and I see that chair that sits in the corner, I think about your Facebook post and I can't unsee that. Just FYI.
Dude, so that's funny. I don't even remember how it started, but like this guy I met through a friend, we pretend to hate each other, but we're pretty good friends. It is crossing the line though. Like I feel like the line a little bit, telling him to go sit in that chair while other people,
Tellman, this is a good what we call opening hook.
It is. So
pattern interrupt.
Do you have something else to say about this, Rory?
No, let's go.
Okay,
done.
Welcome everyone. You know what time it is?
Get shit done. Do you guys have a theme song yet?
We don't yet.
Paul Hoffman could probably sing you a theme song.
I was just going to suggest I wonder if we could get Paul to do a jingle for us.
We could, I'm sure. I've known Paul forever.
Boom, boom.
Yep.
Boom, boom.
By the way, since we're talking about Paul,
yeah,
I don't know him like you do, but ever since I met him through you, I am convinced that the Charlie Sheen character from 2.5 Men is based on him.
Yeah.
I've known Paul for many, many years too.
No, I've known Paul forever, man.
There's some great stories with Paul. Hopefully he sees this and he goes, boom, boom. Love you guys.
That's right. Cool. Well, let's talk about ads, guys. We have two Facebook ad super ninjas on the line, but let's start with a little positive focus real fast just to kick it off. Curt, Rory, whoever wants to go first, what are you most happy or excited about in the world right now at this moment?
AI.
Why? What are you excited about specifically?
I get more shit done and it's more accurate and it moves faster and gives me a higher success rate, which means longer term clients, more money, just getting more stuff done. It's That's just, right. I feel like I'm cheating. I tell people I have a PhD in marketing and I have a PhD in AI. Tellman, you've heard this before. It's called a public high school diploma. The stuff I can do now with a public high school diploma in my computer is a little ridiculous.
It is. If you have the vision to do it, that's the trick, right? That's the trick. What about you, Rory? What are you stoked about this morning?
Honestly, to be here with you guys. I mean, second day in a row for GSD, and we're with Curt Maly. Like, what better way to start the day?
That's right. Yeah, it is episode 65 of the daily. Curt, we're doing this 7 days a week. Did you know that?
7 days a week?
Yep, we're doing GSD 7 days a week.
Sounds like more commitment I've ever had in my life.
No, it's really awesome. Like, it builds so much momentum for me. It's been a really, really cool thing. And so I'm building out, I think we're going to get to the point where we have 7 co-hosts. So I have a different co-host each day of the week. Right. But,
nice.
Yeah, so it's kind of a fun process, but, all right. So we're here today because Curt has been running, ads for a long time. He's created several different processes and systems to help businesses. Actually, I didn't do my positive focus.
Yeah. Positive focus it up, Tellman.
Keyword focus here.
You know what? I am stoked that my son has a job that he likes with people that are good. He's been working at the local movie theater. He had a job that he took like a year ago in a restaurant doing dishes, and he hated his life. It was too loud. He was too tall. It was too awkward. It was too high stress. It was long hours, late nights. I mean, you guys know restaurant work probably. I know I grew up doing that kind of stuff. It was, it was tough. And he works at the theater now. So he does concessions and cleans up the popcorn and stuff, but he's with a bunch of like smart, nerdy guys who all seem like they're decent. And he really likes it. And he goes and he takes extra shifts because he wants to, and it's cool. So I'm stoked that my son has a job that he likes, and it's a good experience for him. So that's pretty awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay. But it has nothing to do with Facebook ads, which is what we're talking about here today. So Curt, you've been running ads for a long time. You created the belt method, and you're doing a lot of stuff with AI. You have this micro budget system starting at $10 a day.
I have a public story that most people don't know about. Can I tell that story, Tellman?
Yeah, it's a great start. Go for it.
I have a public story between Rory, myself, and the birth of something new.
All right, please.
Absolutely. So, Tellman, there is this thing that sits right here. It's on a mantle, right? It is this beautiful belt that we see right here that was awarded by Todd Brown.
Can you lift that up? Is it liftable?
No. I have lights around it. There's this knight right here. There's a
we can't really see it. Your name is in the way.
People first thing in the morning, I swear.
There it is.
This $2.30 Temu light really highlights the back of how important this belt is. Now, I know for you at home, you can't see this, but this is called the Masters of Media Buying Championship. Now, I was awarded this belt in front of 35 of my peers who basically voted for me to get this belt. The belt was stolen, created this whole program that basically we turned into a $2,000, $5,000 coaching program. We made over 7 figures after I won that belt. And Tellman, I bet you don't know the answer to this question.
Okay.
Do you want to take a wild guess who invited me to the event to win that belt?
He should know this answer.
I'm sure I've heard it, but that doesn't mean I remember.
I'm sure you're probably looking at him.
Right, because Rory actually told me this. I didn't. You know, Rory, you told me this less than a month ago. Jesus.
Yeah.
One
I
year,
told him last week,
as they say, right? Yeah. So Rory, I bet Rory invited you.
Wow. Yes. So, long story short, for everyone basically at home, is I've been running ads for about 18 years. I have an ad agency. I've done online trainings. I've trained agency owners all over the world. I love to speak about this on stage all over the world. And Tellman knows this because we've known each other for years. I love complicated stuff. So sometimes when I teach, I like to teach complicated stuff. And when sometimes I explain complicated stuff, it just really confuses people like a fire hose, and that doesn't really make sense. And then once I won this,
confuse me all the time. Like when we talk,
isn't that great?
Like the first 25 minutes, I'm like, I'm good. And then I'm like, Curt just said, like, talk for 10 minutes. And it sounded really smart, but I have no idea what the fuck he just said, because it was just like, it was too much for me to fully grasp. You know, your brain is very, very sharp and moves very quickly. Very detail oriented in a certain way that is hard for me to track sometimes.
So winning the belt helped me articulate more of the complicated stuff that we were doing in an easy format. Now for me, with AI and with micro budgets, it becomes really quick and really easy to get these ideas across overall. So media buying that I've been doing for over 18 years, in my opinion, has gotten easier if you know the right questions to ask. I personally enjoy watching Rory troll people, which, by the way, Rory, one of my clients' ads recently, I pulled up and checked the comments and you said unclear. And I'm like, oh, I'm definitely going to bring this up.
Which ad? Can you tell me?
That's what Rory says to all ads.
Confused. It was a neon sign that said confused people don't buy.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
And that ad is getting one of our best leads.
I vaguely remember leaving that comment.
It's really good. So long story short, and I'm happy to dive into any of this. What I personally feel that's going on in the ad world today is lots of buttons are changing. There's lots of AI that's coming through. You just have to get better at your creatives. So for me, I love seeing Rory's post talking about how he kind of trolls creatives, talks about creatives. I'm always looking at coming with my two kind of value propositions are, I'm looking to use AI to radically create lots of different types of ads, like copy, angles, images, videos, whatnot. And then I use my micro budget so I can test lots of these variables very quickly for a very low dollar amount. And what I find is sometimes, Rory's great at this, you'll find this one radically different ad, this one ad that makes you 90% of your business. The problem is most people are just testing too slow with too big of budgets. They're not testing the right types of things, and they can't get their ads to work. So I'm super excited. We're just seeing great success rates right now with AI, with the ads, and using these micro budgets.
So let's talk about the whole micro budget thing. Like, what's the deal? Why? is it legit that you can start with $10 a day? Like, what does it take? Like from a tangible, practical, I have so many hours in the day. I only, I'm a one man, one woman show. Maybe I have a small team. What does it actually take to learn your process and to execute on your process?
Oh, easy. I have a $99 course. You hit a button, you swipe your credit card, and all of a sudden you get a Lambo.
Oh,
that's kind of how it works, right? If everyone wanted a Lambo. So in my opinion, the way that I look at this,
mine's in the driveway right now.
See, because Rory knows how to hit the make money button on his keyboard that's connected to his meta ads.
Stuff, I followed your program. My Lambo's in the driveway. I just got it last night.
Yes, and you know what's better than a Lambo is knowledge. It's what we're going to drop here, right?
Ooh,
knowledge.
Ooh. If we were giving away money, if we were giving away money, I'd be like, all right, whoever tells me who said that, like, what did Curt just reference?
Yep.
Very nerdy.
Cult classic in marketing, or from a cult, whatever. Anyway, it's a whole other different subject.
What did you just reference?
There's this guy on the internet that's created lots of other companies, lives in a big rented house, and talked about this famous ad that, hey, my Lambos or my education's better than my Lambos. Right?
Got it.
Knowledge.
Knowledge.
So let's drop some knowledge. So
knowledge is like Knudsen.
Knowledge is like Knudsen?
Knowledge is like Knudsen.
They both have vowels and they start with K's.
And the next letter is N. Anyway, let's go into it. Let's do it. What do you got? What do you got, Curt? What do you got?
So years ago, I met this friend of mine named Dennis Yu. Dennis has a strategy called the $1 a day strategy. And I always thought that was really stupid and that stuff didn't work whatsoever. So I started running just content to this $1 a day strategy. And this is probably 10 plus years ago. And what the premise basically was if you spend a really low dollar amount on very specific ads to very specific people, it's almost like Facebook is forced to target the right person at the right time to see your content. Well, about 4 or 5 years ago, what color's the Rambo? Hey, Ryan, it's always good to see you. So 4 or 5 years ago, my brother started running some interesting micro budget campaigns. So long story short, some of you know this, is I got a cease and desist from Facebook. I was removed from Facebook in 2015 for 3 years. I partnered up with my younger brother, who also has an ad agency, but he does traditional ads, radio, TV, billboard, direct mail, lots of that stuff. And he runs some online stuff. So we partnered up when I got the cease and desist for Facebook, when I wasn't allowed to touch Facebook or have any employees. And essentially, my brother started testing out this micro budget campaign, which was kind of close to the $1 a day, but he would start with $10 or $20 a day to test out a creative idea to run to an offer. And I kind of laughed at him at first because I'm like, no. You need to spend a couple $100 so you can get a couple hundred clicks, because a couple hundred clicks will tell you if the landing page is working, the sales page is working. And he's like, doesn't work that way. And I go, I don't understand. And he goes, okay, there's two main things. If you start with this lower budget, is one, it forces Facebook to find the right person at the right time. Oh, kind of like, Joshua B. Lee, we're just going to be talking
Joshua?
about you here shortly too.
We got to talk about how to get shit done on LinkedIn.
But why is Josh commenting on Facebook if he's on LinkedIn?
That's a good question.
I kind of feel like this is
really
cheating.
on Facebook.
It's like, right? It's like announcing, hey, I'm cheating on my other social media app. Kind of weird. But anyway, Josh, no judgment. Love you a lot. Here's what ends up basically happening is my brother starts running these like $10 and $20 a day budgets. And what he's really looking for is, number one, forces the algorithm to find the right person at the right time. Number two, he can start getting baseline stats early, meaning he can start to see, is the ad getting a good click-through rate? What's the CPM cost? So what happens is what we started to do is my brother started to experiment with launching, hey, I'm going to have this one great creative idea, and I'm going to launch it to 5 different audiences. So one ad, 5 different audiences. Well, if you spend $10 a day, now we're spending $50 a day, right? If we spend $10 a day, within 2 days, 48 hours, it's really easy to get baseline metrics to know if your ad's working, if your landing page is working. Again, you might not be making a lot of sales and leads, but you can start getting some of that early data to to make some good decisions. So Tellman, I'll give you a great analogy.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, I mean, Rory's run ads for a long time. He sees this all the time. You'll start a campaign, one campaign. You'll put $100 a day in this one campaign, and it may or may not work.
Right.
And what so many people do is they're like, oh my God, I gotta change my audience. I gotta change my ad. I gotta change my creative. I gotta change my landing page. And what I've really discovered over the years is, I don't know why this works, but every time I start an ad campaign, it's like digging a hole, an oil well. I am looking. These guys have no idea what they're talking about. Eddie, it's so good to see you.
No, Eddie, do you know Eddie?
I know Eddie. I refer business to Eddie. Absolutely. So here's what ends up happening is every time you launch a campaign, it's like digging a new oil well. So if you just put $100 into one campaign, you're going to dig one hole. Maybe you strike oil, maybe you don't. Right. But if I take these 5 different campaigns and drill 5 different holes of oil, I could literally have the same creative, same audience, 5 different campaigns, and all 5 campaigns are going to run completely differently. Well, that doesn't make sense to logic. Like logically, you should be able to set one up and they should get the exact same performance. But that's not how Facebook works. So the goal of micro budgets is low budget testing a lot of different variations very quickly to determine the winner, and then basically run from there. It's kind of cracking the algorithm.
Yeah. So it's like you're looking for little honey holes, right? So
and double down on the honey holes. Exactly right.
Double down on the honey holes. So here's the question: is if the audience is the same, and the landing page is the same, and the creative is the same, what is it about the 5 different campaigns that makes them different? Like, is it just that that Facebook is actually putting them in front of a different cluster of people, even though it's a different cluster of people that has a similar demographic to what you ask for in your audience? Or what's happening that makes one of the campaigns work and 4 of them not? Or is it usually 2 of the, like what's going on there?
So here's some of the kind of science around it.
Yeah.
So Facebook's just looking for relevance at the end of the day. The more relevant your ad is, the more that they're going to show your ad, not the clickbait, it's the relevance. So what's going to happen is as soon as you launch your ad, Facebook has like this crystal ball, the AI determines how well do they think your ad's going to be relevant to that market. But remember, if I'm targeting entrepreneurs, it's not like we have 1 million entrepreneurs lined up 1 through 1 million and the Facebook ads start showing ads to person 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? What Facebook's basically doing is as soon as you launch a new campaign, Facebook's like, okay, let's take a look at this ad. Even though it's the exact same ad in all 5 campaigns, it's 5 different instances. And the algorithm is basically like, okay, they're going to target this person. Here's the creative. How well do we think it's relatable? Okay, out of 1 million entrepreneurs that we're targeting, we're going to target this small little group of people that we think is going to be relevant. And what I find is every time I launch 5 different campaigns, even though I'm targeting entrepreneurs, Facebook is finding these different small groups of people, these small oil wells, and sometimes the groups of people will respond, sometimes they won't. But here's the great deal. I can spend $10 a day in 5 campaigns, and in 2 days, I can look at all of these stats, and if all of the stats basically show me the same click-through rate on my ad, I know how my ad's doing. One may not have a click-through rate at all. One may have triple the click-through rate. Why? Facebook found this audience that's actually a honey hole. Right. I didn't spend $100 a day to find the honey hole. I spent $10 a day, and then I doubled down on the stuff that works. Are you spending 10
or are you spending $50 a day in this case?
So here's kind of the trick of the whole thing. It's completely up to your budget, and it's basically, do you have more time or do you have more budget? We're just trying to collect data.
How low can you go and actually have this work?
So that's kind of the thing. It's the time and budget question. So let me give you a perfect example. Let's say someone's just starting out and they have $10 a day.
Right.
We can spend $10 a day to get leads. We can even spend $10 a day to get sales. But here's the problem. We don't know if we dug the right honey hole. What we don't know is this the creative that's actually working? And is the landing page working? And is the offer working? We just don't know. So I can start at $10 a day, so I can at least start to learn a little bit. But if I'm able to do 3, 4, or 5 different campaigns, now the numbers really start to stand out. So I don't have to get 100 clicks on an ad to see if it's working. If I can run multiple campaigns, I can easily start to compare stats to see where are these some of these early honey holes that I could possibly tap into.
Cool. Okay. So, all right. So you want to go out to multiple campaigns. You want them to be on low budgets. You don't, you know, I mean, how much time does it take for people to go through your course, and how much time does it take once they've learned the stuff to start these types of campaigns and then manage and maintain them every day?
Under 2 hours if you watch the whole course that I built. So basically, one of the ideas that Rory and I talked about, I always want to give credit to this. Good friend of mine, John Morrow, gave me an idea, basically, Tellman, that I'd love to share with you. I was thinking about kind of how do I'll share the story here real quick. I was thinking about how do I redo my digital product, the belt method, which sells for $2,000. Like, it's just, we've all sold digital products before. Like, how do I wrap my head around this? How do I re-record it? I had this great conversation with John Morrow. And for those of you who don't know who John is, look him up. He's a copywriter. He's world renowned. John is someone who has made over $20 million in selling his own digital products. And like, he's methodical in the way that he writes in such a way. He thinks about how the third word relates to the first word, how the fifth word relates to the second word. And John does all this. He's the oldest living person with his medical condition. He does this breathing in a tube, living in Mexico, and from a wheelchair. Like, he's just, his story's unbelievable. And he's just the kind of soul out there. So anyway, John and I are talking, and John's like, "Hey, Curt, do you know what beats my copy?" What? He's like, "Testimonials." He goes, "Do you know what beats my headlines?" What's that? He goes, "Testimonials." He goes, "That's my number one KPI on my company. How do I get testimonials?" Makes total sense. Testimonials are great as ads. Well, John goes, "You know, I don't really do that this often, but I do these 3-hour trainings, and they're revolutionary to my business."
This is what popped into my mind when you were like, how can I take my $2,000 belt method and repackage it? Like, I got the impression you wanted to repackage it for a low ticket offer. You didn't say that, but that's where my head went, and that's where you're going, right? So this is cool. Go
Absolutely. On. So basically, John's like, "Here's what I do." John goes, "I do 3-hour workshops, not webinars. I get stuff done in these webinars. That's the point for the webinar. That's the point for the workshop, not the webinar." So for instance, I'm like, you know what? I want to teach. Let me think about this. I got the belt method. The problem is with the belt method, Tellman, you already know this. There's about 50 different steps in the belt method. It takes a couple of days to learn the whole thing, and then it takes a while to implement.
Yeah,
there's
I never
a
went
lot
through
to
the whole
it.
thing. I never went through the whole thing. Yeah.
And you're a good friend of mine, right? There's lots of people who bought it who said the same thing, and I'm like, I got to just make this more simple, right? So more people can get stuff done and get quicker results. Excuse me, I got really bad allergies this morning.
You know, why don't you just take care of your nose? Because I want to tell you something about this. This is really good. I think at this point, my best-selling product, I'd have to like do the math for sure, but I think my best-selling product is the Wealth Hypnosis Workshop, which is a bump offer that I do with every single one of my low-cost hypnosis sessions. So when I sell a $7 hypnosis session, I offer the Wealth Hypnosis Workshop for an additional like $29.95, and 40% of the people always take it. But this is across 30 funnels, right? So it's a 3-hour workshop. I teach wealth hypnosis. I teach all the principles. I answer all the questions about hypnosis. I do a hypnosis session. I give them I give them the script of the hypnosis session so they can actually do self-hypnosis and read it and record it themselves. And so it's basically a 3-hour wealth hypnosis workshop that's similar to the idea that you're talking about.
So I'm going to say what you said, but a little bit differently and categorize it just a little bit differently, but pretty close to what you said. So this is great. So John basically said, here's what I do. I charge $49 or $99 to have this 3-hour workshop, right? One of the things Rory's doing, I know right now. So what ends up happening basically is this. Here's the 3 hours. The first hour is, let me explain to you why this is important, like why hypnosis is important, right? The second hour is exactly what you said. Here's the script. I'm going to show you the buttons and what to do. And then same thing that you said, the third hour, I say this because people know me from either the Einstein stuff or tacos. I'm a taco addict. I say, don't not hold my beer, hold my taco in a non-awkward way. Don't make it weird.
You made
Is
it
basically,
weird.
hey, look, I'm just saying, I don't want to, kids may be watching this, and I don't want to offend anybody. Yeah, Ryan's been through the course. Absolutely. Lots of info simple, jammed through it in 2x speed, a couple sauna sessions. All right, learning the micro budgets in sauna session. Soothing voice at 200 degrees. That's the first time I ever got that. That's awesome. That is awesome. Now I got so excited about the sauna. Oh, and then Joe Stolte. Joe, I owe you a text message today. I didn't know if you were in the States or not because we have a meeting next week. I didn't know if you wanted to give a speech at the meeting or if you're out of the country. Sorry, way off track on that, Tellman.
All right.
To get back to this, so here's what happens in the 3-hour workshop. Again, first hour, here's the instructions. Second hour, here's how to do it. The third hour, let me give demonstrations of how this works, and I'll answer questions as long as you want to be here. And then essentially what ended up happening is I just started posting on Facebook, hey, I'm going to teach this micro budget. What ends up happening is a bunch of people attend this $99 training where we did this live, and then we cut up the training and we put it inside a circle. So inside we have a circle group that if people have any questions whatsoever, what was interesting is when I do these 3-hour workshops, it's like, look, I only have time to teach you exactly how to do micro budgets. It's literally going to take, to answer your original question, it's literally going to take about an hour and a half to 2 hours to learn. Once you do, you'll start to see results within 48 hours. Within 72 hours, you know if it's working or not. Within 7 days, you'll know if your offer is working or not. So what I end up doing is I teach what I call pillar classes. This is what Rory and I talked about. So if somebody wants to come in and just learn micro budgets, learn micro budgets. But I don't have time to talk about how I write headlines, use AI to make that whole thing happen. I have a whole other 3-hour pillar where you can learn on how to do that. It's literally about 2 hours and then a bunch of demos. But I have 4 or 5 pillars that we've started over the last 3 or 4 months that people can jump into micro budgets, learn how to use AI, learn how to use my $1 a day ethical propaganda. So this $99 training, so people can access the course now. There's a whole community there. I'll tell you, people upgrade when they first come in, Tellman, because they want access to the other pillars at about a 30% rate. But once you're inside the training, we're still going to offer you the pillars because people see the content. Again, like Ryan, you start to implement it, they'll buy these other pillars. But now they're more and more interested in our agency and our other higher level services. So Tellman, what ended up happening was teaching this one thing led to me teaching 5 things, which gave me 5 different offers that I could market for, just like you were talking about all your different markers. All the roads lead to the same place. And it has absolutely revolutionized my digital product business since July. But because I'm running so many more ads, I get so many more questions about the agency. And if it wasn't for AI, man, I'd be on a hiring streak right now, hiring a ton of employees, because it's the busiest it's been in probably the last 5 years in our agency.
So, okay, so you have 5 different workshops that were each $99. And then so they buy the individual workshops and then they go through some sort of upsell flow or something like that afterwards.
It's super simple. It's basically, hey, look, you're going to buy this one thing, micro budgets. Hey, look, I got these 4 other pillar classes that I've recorded. Here's what they are. You can either buy them for $97 each, or for one time you can get it for $147. You get all of them. Cool. And about 30% of the people take that when they come in cold market.
Yep.
And then we also have another offer is for $47 a month. I'll answer questions inside of a live group for once. We do it once a week. And then we have one additional, if you want to book a call, find out more how we can do this for you, kind of with our higher ticket stuff, if we want to talk with people about that. So the 2 big kind of numbers to think about is about a 30% take rate when people first come in. They're like, oh yeah, I want to learn everything. And we have a 30-day money back guarantee for people who are like, oh my goodness, people buy all this information all at once. Yeah, go through it, test it, use it on your own. If it doesn't work for you, it will. Just implement what we tell you. We have a 30-day money back guarantee. But here's what's interesting, Tellman. 30% of the people take the upsell when they first come in. And then once they start learning the information, you know this because you teach NLP and hypnosis. I do this, and I really mean it. While I'm teaching micro budgets, I'm talking about the other courses because I just don't have time for this. But if you're interested in this other stuff, I'll tell you a little bit about it. You don't have to get it if you don't want to. We have a 30% upgrade rate of people buying the individual courses and the bundle courses once they're inside as well. So what my goal is, like I had told Rory, is now I want to interview people like once a month where we can do an interview or a training like Rory talking about his ad audits, for example.
Yep.
Now that's added value inside the group. I mean, Tellman, we have over 600 members inside of our group. They're all paying members.
Nice.
And essentially now this is where we can have interviews. It's almost like a training media company versus a one-shot webinar where I'm trying to sell my goods, if that makes sense.
That's cool. That's cool. Nice, dude. So to sign up for the workshop, they have to go to that link. You need a shorter link, my friend.
I know. I was thinking about a short link. I'm like, it should be here somewhere, but I didn't have time to grab the short link.
Like curtmaly.com/micro or something.
Well, I have your adcoach.micro, but I just forgot where to grab the URL.
Oh, good. Oh, good. So it is in the description, guys, of this video. If you want a clickable link, if this is too much for you to type, there is absolutely a clickable link in the description on this video that I would encourage you to click through on and go through Curt's workshop. I definitely haven't been through that, and I would love to. It sounds great. So Rory, you've been awfully quiet. Do you have anything to say about all this?
Oh yeah, I mean, dude, what's the need to talk when I can just soak in what Curt's talking about? There's lots of powerful takeaways here. And I'm going to be selfish and talk about how they're powerful for me. One thing that I absolutely love that Curt shared is he thought Dennis Yu's strategy was silly. I remember when Dennis first came out with that, and I was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
Yep.
And so now there's a few differences here. Number one, I don't know Dennis. I've never met him. Kind of like Curt, right? We've been in the same circles, although Curt and I are at least connected on Facebook up until recently. Dennis and I are not. We're not connected at all.
Yeah.
So I love that, another person had that same reaction and then eventually kind of found out what the power behind it is. I think micro budgets in general, again, up until right now, big disclaimer. I think micro budgets are very, very silly. Until you learn them, right? Until you learn from someone like Curt. A lot of what Curt said, I don't necessarily agree with for my approach. And so it's easy for someone like me, which I think we can extrapolate. If it's easy for someone like me who knows ads, what's it like for people who don't, to be like, how is this going to work? Is this going to work? And what I like about this and why I want to call this out is, this reinforces the fact of, and Curt, I want to hear your thoughts on this. I always tell people, listen, my system works because I follow my system to a T. If I were to take Curt's micro budget strategy and try and stuff some of my strategy into it, it probably wouldn't work. And so I think a lot of people who are running ads that don't get results or give up too early, it's because they're trying to mix programs. They're trying to mix strategies. Would you agree with that, Curt?
Yeah, I mean, I think the other thing that I hear you saying as well, too. Yeah, absolutely. I think the problem is, well, first of all, one of the things you said is most people give up on their ads too quickly. Like they just don't know where to look. Other people kind of think of the same of the old stuff, which is like, hey, look, I got to get 100 or 300 clicks to my landing page before I can learn anything. The problem that I see a lot of people do is they test a lot of top of funnel ads because, Rory, they just don't have they're just not interested like you are in copy and marketing to study all that stuff. They're like, okay, here, I'm going to go ahead and my product can really be for everyone. Yep. I'm going to go ahead and test these 5 different creatives. I'm going to spend $100 a day on each one of these creatives, and I'm going to see what happens. There's just too many variables. You don't know what to look at next. So that's why I like the micro budgets, the 5 campaigns. You know exactly what to look at. Yep. Otherwise, maybe you drilled a hole that wasn't any good and it ran for a little bit, and you just don't know what worked or what didn't work.
Yeah. No, I like that a lot, and I'm glad you brought up the micro budgets and the holes again. It's funny, like when you were talking about this strategy, this is what I used to do 12 years ago. We'd take one campaign, we'd take multiple ad sets, right? And back then, each ad set had one audience, and it would contain that audience. Today, Facebook doesn't do that. Facebook goes way beyond your audience. so again, like there are some fundamentals that, yes, I used to do that. I can see how it worked. I can see why it works. It's what's really funny is I can also see why clients get pissed when I'm like, I don't need to do that. I can write one ad. I can test 3 images. I know how this audience responds. I'm looking for baseline metrics. And so both things can be true. Curt's method can work. My method can work. But you have to, I really think you have to double down on a method and get that method really, really fucking dialed in. I almost said perfected, but
it never really gets perfected. You know what I mean?
I got in an argument with another Facebook ad buyer basically about this, like kind of your and I philosophies, Rory, on kind of how to look at this, which is your mind is built very differently than my mind. And let me explain this. So like I tell people is I have a PhD in marketing, public high school diploma. I have not read anywhere close to the books or studied the people, Rory, that you have. So for me, I like to say I like to relate to the common person because I got to try a lot more times at bat than you do because my marketing brain just doesn't work like yours. So when I test out these 5 different campaigns, I'm really trying to get the best data on some of the best copy. Now, I've talked to some other advertisers. They're like, Curt, you do this interest layered targeting. That's ridiculous. I do wide open targeting. I don't have the marketing snafu that Rory has to write the exact right headline with the exact right long form post, test out only 3 images, and know if it's a winner right out of the bat. Because there's so much education behind that. People are like, oh, you just launch one ad and you'll crush it. If you have Rory's experience, but if you don't have that marketing background, you got to launch a bunch of different variations and kind of see what happens because you just can't do that.
And so that's an interesting thing. I'm inclined to say I'm going to call you out on that bullshit, Curt, but that's going to come across that's going to come across the wrong way, right? That's going to come across like very rude. But the reality is, it's funny. And
Rory, you're never rude. What are you talking about? You've never said a rude word in your life, I don't think.
That's not true. We talked about this previously. There are people that I'm intentionally rude to. You know, one of them.
I'm fully aware, Rory.
But anyway, what I really mean here, Curt, is I don't know that when looking out, right? My perspective looking at you, I go, bullshit, Curt. You absolutely know marketing like the best of them. We have different philosophies, different perspectives, different approaches. And there's nothing less valuable, is what I really want to get at is, and Tellman, you'll appreciate this. Our good friend, Kyle Battis. Curt, do you know Kyle?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
So when Kyle was one of my earliest mentors and supporters, he's the guy that introduced me to Tellman. Kyle would be like, "Oh, well, I have my doctorate, I have all this education, blah blah." And Kyle would be like, "Man, I wish I had that education." And here I am, like School of Hard Knocks, dude. And I'm like, I wish I had that. So I think our past, our history, our experiences help guide where we are.
That's right.
And by the way, I love that story about the PhD, public high school diploma. It's fucking hilarious. It's like Frank Kern, PhD, astronaut, surgeon, this, that, and the other thing. Yeah, dude. I think we have. I don't want to say equal because we have different backgrounds, but I think when it comes to marketing, dude, you've got the chops. We tackle it differently.
We just have different angles.
Yeah.
Right. And like with me now is my personal opinion is I'm 46 years old. Well, I guess that's not a personal opinion. That's a fact. But the older that I get,
is it a
right?
fact?
I think I think I see my birth certificate.
Yeah,
I don't know if my birth certificate's real, but I'm sure it is.
It could very easily be fabricated. You're probably not even a human.
We're just living in a simulation anyway, so it doesn't really matter, right?
Oh, Tellman, we should talk about that next week. We'll come back to that.
Okay.
Living in a simulation?
Yeah.
Let's find out if you're, what do you call it, a UPC or not?
Here's why, Curt, in case you don't know, like there was once upon a time, and I've got to believe Tellman is still there. We used to have conversations of like astral projection and all these other things. So I want to revisit that with Tellman now that we're living in a simulation.
I created a whole course that I never released. Jody and I created a course called The 9 Secret Worlds. It was an astral projection course. We recorded it in kind of a very semi-pro recording studio in the woods in Vermont, and we never released it.
Wow.
We should. Yeah.
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 All right,
I
so
love
where were we going with this? So yeah, like it's we're both saying sort of it's your experience, it's your lens, and like I see Ryan here. Ryan is no slouch when it comes to having run ads in the past. I don't know if he's still doing it today, but he says the creative and offer trumps all at the end of the day. I would say yes, the offer trumps. Creative's important, but I think the whole ad
sets it on fire. Yeah.
the whole, for me, it's the whole ad unit. And again, differing opinions, like can you get the outcomes? And I think that's probably where the marketplace confusion comes in. Curt saying, where's my arm? Curt says one thing, Rory says another thing. Can they both be true? Can they both be wrong? What works?
Yeah, see, that's the thing, is it's like you can try to study a whole bunch of people's stuff and just try to figure out what's right and what's wrong and what is or isn't going to work or what is or isn't going to work for you, but you're going to be wrong if you do that. The only way to be right is to try it and get some experience and find out what works for you, your personality, your life in your market with your sales letter or your offer. Otherwise, it's all just a bunch of procrastination.
I want to lean on one thing that Rory says, because I know he got to run in here just a minute. But Justin Brooks said this to me one time, and it's totally true, right? Especially like in the traffic area, like the stuff that I sell products in, Rory's doing right now, is everyone's buying each other's stuff,
right?
Meaning like we have a lot of the same customers. And the problem, and I shouldn't say the problem is, the thing is we just want to make sure that we show people, here's exactly how you do it. What I see a lot of people do is, like Rory said earlier, they give up on their ads too quick. So they buy this other course, and then they get this one tip about having the red background in Rory's ad creative, but they didn't watch the rest of his stuff. So then they test that, and that doesn't work. And then they buy this other course. Just, if you want to stick with a mentor, it's totally fine if you buy other products. I buy other products, but just stick with one person, test all of their stuff out, do it for like 30 days or an entire quarter, then make a determination if it works or not. But what so many people do, this is why Tellman, I created all these pillars really for the belt method. They would say, hey, you got this big thing that I tried to implement. I didn't implement all of it, which means it didn't really work for me. And I only tried it for 2 weeks. Okay, what are the small things that I can get someone to follow for like 3 hours to do exactly this? So we start to see results just a lot faster. So I
love that. And Curt, I'm so glad you jumped in and said what you just said about go all in on one mentor.
100%.
Because I was going to say something, and you got the words out first, which was, I remember going back all the way now to late 2006, early 2007. I jumped into Alex Mendocian's teleseminar secrets.
Absolutely. Yep.
And on the first call, here I am, some newbie, and I'm trying to learn so much stuff. And on the first call, Alex and what a master of fucking marketing over a telephone, for crying out loud. Look how far we've come. And one of the first things he says is, guys, what I need you to do right now is unsubscribe from everybody else's newsletters.
Absolutely.
I need you to go all in with me. And my first reaction was, who is this motherfucker? Who the hell does he think he is? Blah, 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 blah. And, here I am 18 years later going, yeah, that's exactly what you need.
Exactly.
You need to go all in with one fucking person.
It's so important. I like to think about it like you're learning how to make a master dish, like a master recipe for a meal from the best chef in the world in that particular area. And if you're trying to learn how to make 5 different recipes from 5 different people who cook 5 different types of food, and you're in one kitchen and and they're all shouting orders at you at the same time, and you're trying to make a, triple decker flourless chocolate torte over here, and you're trying to make like some kind of Irish stew over here, and then whatever you're trying to make, a pizza over here, it's not going to work out, and really important to be present and focused with whatever it is you're learning. And so this is great. This is great, guys. So Rory, I know you need to go. Couple questions for you guys. Number one is Curt. Who should we have on the show next?
Ooh. That's a really great question. Have you had Josh Lee on yet?
Not on the Get Shit Done show. We're just starting to do interviews on the Get Shit Done show. It's been mostly me and Eric Oliver, and then I've started bringing in a few more co-hosts, including Rory, and we're just starting to bring in more interviewees. So Josh would be great.
If you bring Josh Lee in, I want it done on a Wednesday when I co-host, because I've heard of Josh for years and never connected.
Oh, great! Well, then you're responsible for inviting him. Rory.
All right, Josh, I'm hitting you up.
He's a friend, so he'd respond to me, but I want to outsource the responsibility to you.
That's fine. That's cool. Kurt, here's somebody I hope you were. I was hoping you're gonna say, and you would know better than I if he does interviews. Would John do an interview, Morrow?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sure he'd be interested.
I've texted with John, but I've never met him. I don't think he and I have ever talked. So I would love to connect with him if he's down with doing interviews.
I would. I can send him a message. I owe him an email back today, so I can happy to send him a message and say, "Hey, a couple people we were talking about you online, and they'd love to do an interview." It's just if you've ever John used to live in Austin. He now lives in Mexico, and I'll say this really quick. But John comes out and you know how entrepreneurs all start having ideas at the exact same time. When you're at a mastermind, everyone wants to talk. With John's condition, he just kind of talks in a lower voice, so just a little quieter. And it's like once he starts talking, it's almost like being at church. The whole room goes silent. You can hear a pin drop, and he'll go on to these stories and start talking. He's so methodical when he speaks. It's just brilliant to watch happen. So yeah.
And real quick, I'm gonna stay up until about 9:58 and then jump. But I'll tell you what I love about John. He has this amazing quiz about and Kurt, I think I told you this, it was his quiz and those results that literally bashed me over the head to make me realize again 18 years later how much I've just completely fucked up by not building a list, by not having products, by just the way the outcome was written. I was like, oh my God, this is so easy and I'm making it so difficult.
He's such an amazing writer.
Yeah. And here I am like a month later, I'm building a list. I've got products. I'm new services. Yeah.
John's a life changer.
Yep. All right, boys, I'm out of here. This has been awesome. You guys feel free to stick around and chat more if you want, but, and I hate to leave, but thank you for everything today. Kurt, Tellman, pleasure. We'll be in touch.
Fun. Yeah. Hey, Tellman, let's talk bad about Rory.
Yes. Yes.
If you want, we can totally squeeze in more than one episode a week with you if you want, because Eric in particular is traveling for about a week, so he's become inconsistent for the next week. So let me know what you want to do. We'll talk to you guys soon. Kurt, do you want to stay on or shall we just wrap up?
Let's just wrap up.
All right.
Okay.
I'm out of here, guys.
Tacos to crush.
Awesome. Bye, Rory. All right. Well, Kurt, this was awesome, and thank you in particular to all of the amazing people that are paying attention to you on Facebook. Several of them I don't know personally. I see a lot of the people that interacted with us today were coming in from your followership. So really cool to have you guys here. Ryan and Liz, Joe.
Tellman, I'll tell you that Joe does this all the time. These long form posts that I've been doing, AI sometimes helps me write them, but a lot of times it's first thing in the morning. You know, I know you're an early riser as well. 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. I have just this kind of deep, thought. These posts that are 7,000, 8,000 characters long have just been amazing. Like I've been talking about micro budgets over and over and over.
Yeah,
what?
I haven't seen any of these.
I've probably gotten over 700 comments on the posts that I've made just about micro budgets, which have put a lot of people, which is funny, which have put a lot of people inside of the micro budget course, besides paid ads. Right. So It's a lot of organic stuff to get people in. So yeah, I love what you're doing here. I love what you're doing here with the podcast as well too. But you have some brilliance, I think, to share in writing as well too, with some interesting imagery that I think can get you some really good reach as well too.
Cool. Well, we should talk more about that. I'll reach out to you. We should just schedule a catch up. It's been a little bit.
Has been a little bit. Always good to see you, Tellman. Thank you very much for having me, sir.
Likewise, guys. You should follow Kurt and check out his micro budget training. And if you haven't joined us already, what are you waiting for? It's time to get shit done. www.getshitdone.com. Join the cult. You'll be a better person for it. All right.
You see how old we are? We don't have to say www at all anymore.
Yeah, I know. I love saying WWW. That's how I roll. That's how I roll.
Okay, Tellman,
guys.
let's go rock and roll.
Have a great day. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Over and
Thanks,
out.
everybody. I'm going to go shave. All right, bye.
Save it.